Lwane, I could probably run through a lot faster.
Game
I can just say my character's trash. My character's trash. You guys have answers to me. All right, the only matchup I think we win wholeheartedly, Ladiva. Kind of like what Max was going at, where I have the zoning abilities. Pretty much, I have one of the fastest backdashes in the game. So, and Ladiva is not quite a fast character, so her only way to kind of distance gap is to lariat or jump or try and run forward. All three of which kind of are not great against Lwane, because if you do a bad lariat, I will waste my 2-1-4 H, which is the heavy slashes, into a hard knockdown to go back into that same spot so that I could zone you back again. And if you ever try to headbutt me once, I will OS parry you, and I will always get you out. So I think that you will definitely have it. And then once I have 100 meter, I will pop HP 8 all the time, because it means you can't grab me, you can't do anything, and I get a knockdown. And then Yigi, you unless you have meter, you can't punish me if you're in mid range. So just as a character, Ladiva kind of struggles there. Moving on, Vasaraga, similar to kind of how the Ladiva matchup is, it's kind of hard for Vasaraga to get in. And one of the things that kind of makes this matchup very unique is that, yes, he has armor, and a lot of armor is kind of a annoying thing for a lot of the cast to deal with. But one of the unique things about Lwane's parry is that it's unblockable, and unblockables go through armor. So if he ever tries to walk at you and you manage to catch him pushing a button or like walking forward with that, you can just parry and it'll just go through armor. So you could just sort of deal with it that way. But the difference that I think makes this matchup a little bit better for Vasaraga than Ladiva is she's, I think, got better tools to get in than Ladiva does. And the walk is still annoying. The walk is still annoying, but we have better answers to it. Moving on, Soares. The Soares matchup I consider to be slightly favored for Lwane. Not by much, though. I think Soares matchup is kind of... this one I probably would put like in the 5.25, 4.75 range, because the main thing that Lwane can kind of do in this matchup is the whip punishing, and because he can catch dash punches really easily and react to it. The only thing is that Soares' normals are actually pretty good against Lwane. He can sometimes catch bad bro calls, so you have to be very careful when throwing things out against Soares to eat all that damage. But he doesn't have a reversal action, which means that if you get the one knockdown, you can just play rent-free against Soares 90% of the time.
Sucks.
Yeah, you can go rent-free 90% of the time, and 5U can be grabbed. Moving on, Catalina, probably the spiciest of the choices up, but I put Catalina and Lwane as even. Waiting for Neocars to call me cap on this one, or all the other Catalinas call me cap on this one. This one, I played this matchup pretty extensively with Callisto, and not extensively with Callisto, but I played a fair amount of Catalina from season 1 to season 2. I've also played Kilo's Catalina. I played a bunch of other people's Catalinas. And the one thing I've noticed is that, especially in this current patch, it can't really deal with max distance 5M. I don't know what Catalina can do against Lwane. She has trouble getting in. Her only way to properly deal with bros is either projectiles or thrust, both of which I will always run back and be at a distance to kind of deal with. And so you have to make very hard reads on your end to when I'm going to call stuff out. You have no way to properly OS me. It's kind of a fucked up situation that Catalina, despite being as good as she is, I think kind of doesn't have tools compared to Gran or Jita. But I mean, but the thing is, thrust is one option. What are your other options? Because if you try and run forward at me, I can probably sweep you consistently, and I can probably stay at a distance where I'm just going to cat bot you. And if you try and spot dodge, if it's at a distance I can throw a normal out, you get punished for your spot dodge. Or if I can call a bro out, well, I mean, it's there's not really great answers that that Cat has compared to some other ones, but. Cat can't jab bros if it's max range. If I space out my normals, She cannot space it out. Yeah, no, I know, I understand that. I'm just saying, like, Neocrush, I'm just saying, like, that's, like, there's a bunch of stuff that I think, like, a lot of her normals, if I space my normals out, Cat can't deal with. But when you get in, yeah, you're great. You're fine if you're in. Like, you can deal with me in the corner. You can kind of deal with that. That's why I put it as even, and I don't put it as favorable in Loin's favor. Zoe, we both set play. We both don't have really good rate reversal actions. I'm just going to leave it at that. Cagliostro, similar deal. Cagliostro's got traps. She likes to jump around a lot, so I can't really set play, or I can't really, like, zone as effectively. My opinion of Cagliostro comes from last patch, where, you know, you didn't really like, your character was definitely not as strong as it is this patch, so it's kind of like, we both had the same struggles. Like, a lot of the matchups that we had similar struggles with. I think the only difference is your super was better than my super. I think HVA and Yiki are terrible supers. Moving on to slightly unfavored, Lancelot. I actually, this is where I think some people might disagree with me. I think that the Lancelot matchup is worse than it is, but I think that Lancelot's pretty stubby. He's got the one thing that makes him really good is that he's able to get in fairly easily, but if I'm able to effectively zone you, you have to really try hard to get in. They have to be very careful with doing Rekka pressure because, again, parry is a very strong tool against characters that try and do frame traps or like stuff like that, because frame trap normals, or sorry, yeah, frame trap specials. The only thing I think that you guys get great out of this matchup is that your 2U can go over, or can go under Catbot. That's probably about it.
Charlotte, lie to us again.
Oh, I always lie. But I think that surprisingly, out of the matchups, this is actually a matchup I like playing, Lancelot versus Loin. Despite it being slightly unfavored, I actually like playing it a lot. Charlotta. Now, I think Charlotta, the players that complain about Charlotta are dealing with lag. Charlotta and PS4 with like extra delay. I think that last season, Charlotta beat Loin free. This season, we have good normals, so it's not as strong. So we have the ability to have good normals to space out things and deal with it. Beelzebub, I already explained it previously. Jita and Gran are kind of in the same boat. Kind of a little bit different than Catalina is that Catalina has better poking tools, but Jita and Gran are better in close range spaces, and that's the space that Loin does not like. So they have better tools to try and get in and stay in, whereas Catalina doesn't really have those tools to stay in compared to Jita or Gran. And Matera, this is one I thought Matera won pre-patch, but season 1, because we had -1, 2, and 4H, which was the slashes. Now it's not, so we have to reverse. Yeah, no, we couldn't just basically just throw it out like it was the freest thing in the world, and now we actually have to properly like throw it out and like think about what we're going to do on our after we throw it out. So we're kind of stuck there, and I think this season 2 helped Matera out a lot. So between our nerf of 214H and your buffs, it sort of shifted the play style to that. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Fairy's normals are really good. Fairy's normals are very good. Her normals go through everything. It's similar to why I think the Zeta matchup is absolute ass for Loin, is that Fairy, if she's at that like the sweet spot of her zoning of her normals, she could just deal with all of your bro calls or Catalina calls. So you basically have to rely on getting a knockdown, and she basically takes away your neutral and you know, she also has a reversal action in the form of a DP. She has set play. Just overall, that matchup is not fun, and she takes away a ton of your tools in neutral. Belial is a very good rushdown character, and he has OSs to bro calls, so he could basically just deal with a lot of your fake shit, and just command grabs another thing. A lot of tools he has against in the matchup. Percival is one I kind of would probably put in like the 4.25, 5.5, or 5.75. I think this matchup is definitely Percival favored, but it's not as bad as it was season 1. You guys got a lot of nerfs to a lot of things that we couldn't really deal with, and our normals got better, but your character is just very strong neutral. Like, you have the way, like, I have to space things out perfectly, or else I'm just going to die. But I don't think that like the matchup is like absolute garbage. Not like Belial and Fairy. That matchup is absolute fucking garbage. And then Narmaya has one of the fastest dashes in the game. I think it actually, like, she is one of the fastest full screen dashes in the game. So she can actually like call out really good, like, if I can't zone very well with it, and if I do a bad Yigi, she could just punish you from full screen. It's kind of insane. Not to mention, she's very good up close, so definitely not very strong. And now, my favorite spot. Why the fuck am I playing this character? Zeta and Yule. Zeta versus Luane is probably the worst matchup, I think, in the game. It is very bad for Luane. It's to the point where I don't think if a Zeta player knows the Luane matchup, Luane can win. It's a very big struggle bus. I can't throw out anything because 2M is such a strong normal move, and her laser deals with everything on my end. So, like, I had to play extremely well to win that matchup. And that was kind of similar to how Yule versus Luane was. Yule got nerfed though, so it's not as bad, but it's still very annoying. Her 5M is still very strong, and so I lose out on like a ton of my tools in both of those matchups where I have to play perfectly or else I lose. Then Uno, I don't know much about the Uno matchup. I haven't played it enough. But yeah, those are my matchups. That's what I think about this character. If you want my advice, if you want to play Luane, understand you're going to be in you're going to hate yourself a lot.
People, I have a question. Someone in chat asked, why is there no 7-3 in the why the fuck are you playing this game category?
Because I don't think this game has 7-3 matchups. I don't think this game has 7-3 matchups.
Now I can, in this current meta, now I can see that. Yeah. But there were definitely 7-3 matchups in this game.
No. Sorry. Yes. In what's it called? In season 1, I 100%. Like, if you saw my matchup charts in season 1, there was 100% 7-3 matchups. Like, I wholeheartily think, but
Percival Soares.
Yeah, like the Zeta matchup did get better. Like, it realistically did get better up into season 2 into season 1 into season 2. It wasn't a lot, but it got better enough to the point where we still have ways we can play, but it does, like, it still sucks. And it is still a very uphill battle. That's why I put it at 6.5, 4.5. Okay. 7-3, to me, 7-3, it's like, even if I'm playing 100% perfectly and the opponent doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know the matchup, I can't win.
Percival Soares was not 7-3, Tega. Stop in chat.
I actually didn't think that was 7-3 either. I thought that was 6.5, 3.5. The only matchups that I put as 7-3 last time were, I think, Gran and Zeta, but Gran got significantly nerfed from season 1 to season 2 in the Luane matchup. Like, there was a lot of stuff you couldn't do. Like, cause it was mainly the boot. Boot was a really big reason why Luane versus Gran was a really shitty matchup for Luane. But Zeta didn't really. The only thing that really changed with her, I think, was really like the pogo and like a couple other things, but nothing like that. And I think that right now there needs to be, I think, a little bit more improvement. But I also don't know how effective the 2M nerf was for Zeta, because I heard the hurt box did increase. So if that's the case, the matchup might be a little bit closer to 6-4, because that's how it is with Catalina right now. Is that Catalina, her 2M was absolutely degenerate against Luane, but when she got nerfed with her 2M, the matchup became super playable. Like, it was super easy to kind of deal with stuff. And so if Zeta's 2M can get that same type of nerf, or like we get a buff to kind of deal with 2M like how we can do with Catalina, then this matchup is fine. It's playable. It sucks, but we can win, even if both players know the matchup. Yeah, I think that, again, if I go with 7-3, like, the Zeta player needs to not know what the fuck they're doing, and the Luane player needs to know what they're doing. And even if that's the case, the Zeta player will still win. That's how I sort of think of 7-3.
Okay, so just because people are talking about this in chat, I have to find this tweet again.
Bro, have they even heard of DJ versus Honda? That's actually 8-2.
So the rule. So allow me to explain this again. Allow me to explain this once on stream, right? The rule of
Lativo
thumb
night,
is, right,
bro.
is if you're going to say a matchup is 7-3 or worse, I'm going to need a point of reference.
Yeah.
Like I'm need a professional recommendation that you've actually played this matchup for you to say something is this bad, right? So when I say something is 7-3, I can give you multiple points of references. Gen Yun, because that motherfucker had trouble getting in, was 7-3. Gen has no answer.
You're right.
Gen has no answer. Gen versus Yun. The motherfucker
Gen
who
had
taught
no,
Yun has
go
a
ahead.
7-3 matchup against the motherfucker who he taught. I don't know how they did this. But
No,
Gen
but
has
Gen Yun was 7-3 because Gen had no tools to get like Yun off of him.
no tools to get him off of him, no answer to dive kick. Why did Yun's dive kick had like practically no height restriction? The only punish he couldn't punish shoulder well.
Yun has a little trouble getting in. Someone said, "Bro, that's a cap. You better shut your ass
Oh
up."
no, that's the joke. That's the joke. That is always gonna be the joke because we don't know how they allowed that patch. Another 7-3 matchup. Kage at launch versus Akuma was 7-3. Like
That sounds awful, yeah.
I
can see that.
I want you to look me at my look. I hope you're looking at the stream right now, right? Hope you're looking at the stream.
I'm looking at the stream, but
I have played that match once in tournament. Once. And only once. And the only reason I ever played the matchup is because I lost the mirror match 4 straight rounds. In winners.
So sorry.
In winners. And I was so desperate to win, I went to Kage and won. And literally after that, I fell asleep for 10 minutes because I mentally clocked out. That is the most stressful match I have ever played in my tournament life. And it was offline versus an OG versus a DMV OG. I will never do that again. And to this day, I still don't forgive him for making me play that matchup.
I don't think there are any 7.
It's funny, Decent.
now.
So Decent in chat saying Ladiva on Fairy at season 1. So I actually played season 1 with Ladiva versus Fairy. I actually thought that matchup was like 6-4, maybe like even
Nah,
like
dude.
5.5 because Ladiva
Nah,
was kind of
fuck outta
ridiculous in
here.
this one.
That was a
No,
7-3.
That shit was
Bro,
7-3.
I was literally
That shit was
beating
7-3.
Marvin High.
No, don't
no,
fucking
no,
cap right now, bro. Don't
What?
cap.
Dude, I fucking played
Barry was
Ladiva. You gonna
busted
tell
season
me?
1, bro. Bro, Barry was busted season 1, and Ladiva, she had some gimmicks. Like obviously her command grab was really good. Her MSBD was really good at that point because you can get a 5L tech throw at any range, or like a 2L tech throw. 2L tech throw at most ranges.
I don't know.
And obviously she had like her mid-screen combos, but that was like kind of it. Like, I don't know, Fairy was fucking busted in season 1. What are you talking about? That was definitely a 7-3 matchup.
I'm just gonna
Like,
throw this out there.
That was 7-3.
I'm gonna throw this out there. If you don't play Lil Wayne, I don't think you can say that there's a 7-3 matchup in this game. I honestly don't think.
I played
you can.
Percival. I played Percival.
Bullshit. That's
Sorry,
fucking
dude.
bullshit, dude.
I did. That's fair. That's fair. That's my opinion. No, that's my opinion of how strong I think your characters are compared to Lil Wayne. Like Lil Wayne is a.
Lawayne's story is the season
I
1,
can
bro.
agree,
Yeah.
but like I don't really think it's about the strength of the character. I think it's just character archetype versus
It's
character
not even- yeah,
archetype when it
yeah,
comes to like
well,
Ladiva
That's
Fairy.
fair. That's fair. But Lil Wayne's character archetype also loses heavily to aggro, like the way it
That's
is.
fair.
Good rush down.
Yeah, exactly. Good rushdown. So again, my point is that like if your character had more things than Lil Wayne did. Lil Wayne has nothing. He still is a struggle character. No matter if you ask any Lil Wayne player seriously, they'll tell you that they struggle in multiple matchups, even if it's one that quote unquote will win or we're favored in. Like we struggle in it because of how difficult this character is.
Someone
to play.
asked you to name. Someone asked you to name a Lil Wayne 7-3.
Last patch was Zeta versus Lil Wayne was season 1.
That was 7-3.
Yeah. Then I also said Gran also last patch.
Gran,
Again,
yeah.
Gran, there was people that disagreed with me on the Gran one, but Gran was definitely one I thought because of M Boot, specifically M Boot. Not EX Boot was also really good, but M Boot was kind of degenerate. But I mean, like, other than that, I mean, Percival last patch was bad, Charlotta was bad, but those aren't ones I put at 7-3. I also thought Narmaya was even worse last patch. Jita was also.
You remember
really
the context
bad.
of the tweet? Yo,
Hey,
So
let's move on,
just
bro.
yeah. So just a quick side disclaimer: the context of this tweet was someone that said Mika Geef was 7-3, and I was just like,
What?
What?
We're not talking about Street Fighter here.
yeah. So